Hello, welcome to this 39th day of Counting the Omer during this Feast of Weeks. I'm Karen King, National Elder for the Canary Islands, Spain. I first give honour to our pastor Shane Vaughan and his wife, to Bishop Kendrick and his wife, and I give love and thanks to all our elders, ministers and to each and every one of you. Giving all glory and thanks to our Father for raising up First Harvest Ministries. May he guide us daily in our walk, preparing us for his Son's return to rule and reign in the coming kingdom on earth as our High Priest. Today's focus is on the attributes of being resolute, unwavering, committed and firm in faith. While the word itself isn't used directly in Scripture, its meaning is seen in the repeated biblical command to stand fast. Our first scripture is 1 Corinthians 16:13, which says, "Watch, stand fast in the faith, be brave, be strong." And this is the Greek word stako, G4739, which means stand fast, stand firm, keep on standing. Here, Paul ends his letter urging the Corinthians, who are surrounded by moral and cultural corruption, to stay grounded in faith. He also says in Philippians 1:27, using this word, when he tells them to stand fast in one spirit, walking worthy of the gospel, even when no one is watching. Our next scripture is Ephesians 6, verses 11 through 14, where we are told to put on the whole armour of Yahweh, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. In chapter 6, Paul gives us a picture of spiritual battle and standing firm. Here he uses two distinct Greek words which deepen our understanding. The first one is histemi, which is G2476, which means to stand firm, immovable, and a defensive position of readiness. The second one is antihistemi, which is G436, which means to resist, to oppose, an active pushback against spiritual forces, guarding against temptation and deception. We see the progression through verses 11 through 14. 11 through 12 says, we can say, prepare before the pressure. Know your enemy is spiritual, not physical. Then we resist during the trial, because trials will come. Stand your ground and push back. Then we remain standing after the battle in verse 14, girded in truth and clothed in righteousness. In 1 Corinthians 10, Paul warns us against overconfidence and taking things too lightly through the examples of Israel. In verse 12 he says, "Therefore let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall." As he shows us in Old Testament examples, he tells us that they are written as a warning for us in these last days, as Pastor has taught us recently with Echoes of Israel. They tested Yahweh's patience with idolatry, complaining, and constant attempts to negotiate with obedience. Overconfidence without obedience leads to a fall. But the next verse, verse 13, Paul reminds us that Yahweh gave us the power to say no. In James 4:7 it says, "Therefore submit to Yahweh, resist the devil and he will flee from you." This tells us that resisting isn't just holding ground, it drives the enemy back. Resisting and withstanding requires spiritual discipline. Think of Daniel facing death in the lion's den. What did he do? He didn't panic. He didn't compromise. He didn't run and hide. Instead, he did what he always did. He prayed and gave thanks to Yahweh, just as was his custom. Daniel didn't wait for danger to start praying. He had already put on his armour. He was prepared through daily spiritual discipline. So how do we stand fast today? We stay grounded, we walk in obedience, we make prayer a habit, not a last resort. And when temptation arises, we pause and ask, "Father, does this please you?" And finally, to be resolute is to prepare with the word, fight with faith and endure with prayer, knowing that the strength to do this comes not from us, but from Yahweh. Thank you very much. Thank you, family.